Welcome back to the Road to Masters. Last time we left off with our entry into Plat promos, and today we'll be taking the journey through it. We have 24 days remaining to hit Masters, and we'll need as much time as possible in Diamond to make that happen. I promise this video will be worth watching to the end. So let's get into it. Kindred started on bot side since we saw them leash, meaning she'll likely path up to the top side. As I'm transitioning into my top side, Kindred invades and was waiting for me at Raptors. I greed for the camp and end up trading flashes, but I still die. I should expect Kindred to do something like this, because she has lane priority in both solo lanes, and she's much stronger than me in 1v1. She's doing a really good job of using the matchup and priority to her advantage, so in anticipation of this, I should have used my W to spot out the brush play, and then trade my Raptors for bot scuttle and just play on the opposite side from her. Kindred heads to bot scuttle because that's her mark, so I trade for top side. My bot camps will come back at 4:45, meaning I have a minute of free time here. I look for a gank top because Jax is pushed up and I know Kindred can't respond to it. But this gank is a complete waste of time. Alawi has no gank assist and Jax can just jump away from my Q and never be in real danger. So I end up spending a minute here trying to make sure we get the wave crashed before Kindred comes top. But this is 100% a waste of my time. And also I'm leeching XP from Alawi and putting her behind. Instead, I should have used this opportunity to counter jungle Kindred's top side. She only cleared 2 buffs and 1 other camp in her first clear because I saw her CS when she murdered me at my Raptors. So I could counter jungle whichever camp is up top side and then rotate to my bottom side in time for my wolves to spawn. And maybe transition gank mid if Graves stays pushed up. Throughout lane phase, Graves continues pushing, and for some reason he goes AFK in the middle of lane here, with low mana and no flash for another minute. Once I see Kindred on Dragon, I know we have a small window to fight him 2v1. We land our skill shots and pick up the kill mid before Kindred can counter it, and this pulls our mid lane back closer to even. Again, Jax is pushing into Alawi and is overextended, and just like before, this is a complete waste of time. Alawi is a level behind because of the XP I leached earlier, and also the wave is huge. If she dies or misses most of the wave, Jax is still winning, even if we take him down. The better play would, again, be for me to counter jungle top. Kindred exited mid towards her bot side, which means I likely have time to take her top camps and I can smite the scuttle. By missing this play, I'm allowing the Kindred to pressure bot side and still farm all of her camps. Kindred is on Herald, so I hover around mid in case she ganks there afterward. But Irelia goes in, so I go for the gank anticipating a 2v2. We use both our flashes and the trade is ultimately only 1-for-1 when Kindred comes over. Knowing that the Kindred was in the area, we should have been satisfied with just getting Graves' flash and then crashing the wave. We could then probably look for the dive if Graves stays for the wave because he's low, or turn on Kindred if she tries to approach us. I also have camps on the bot side, and this dive puts me in a very bad place for my pathing. Drake is coming up, and we work on securing vision to set up a pick. After teaming up with Karma, we look for a low probability gank on the Graves, because his flash is down, but it's extremely forced, and we end up trading 3 for 0 and lose 4 turret plates mid. This was an awful play for a few reasons. It's not ideal to start a promotional series 0-1, obviously, but I made way too many mistakes to win this game. I wasted a ton of time topside in an ungankable lane, and I missed a lot of opportunities to slow the Kindred snowball. We'll have to win 3 of the next 4 games to get into Plat. We know Olaf started on red because of the enemy bot lane showing late. He hits Scryer near top crab, so I decide to transition down to bot crab because I can't duel him, and Silas doesn't respect me being there and dies for it. The only reason this worked out is because Silas misplayed. But it didn't cost me anything because I was already crossing mid for bot scuttle, so I just looked for the gank. Because we traded scuttles, I know that bot lane is a free gank when they're overextended like this. Olaf is top side. The enemy isn't respecting that they're weak side, and we really punish them for it. Now we built a 3-kill lead on the bot half of the map, and it's off to a really good start. LeBlanc and Rakan crashed the wave after our earlier play, which sets up the wave to push back to them, so I path straight down to try and continue the snowball. I expect for Olaf to full clear again, which would put him on the top side by now, but he sees me clear the ward and then collapses on me instead. I believe this was a decent play. Olaf should have been on the top side at this point, but when I see him come through river, I should have flashed out immediately instead of getting locked down. Leaving base off my death, I should have cleared from top to bottom, since I wanted to play around mid and bot at this point. Camille has died a few times, and it's best for me to play on the strong side. Instead, I end up top, and my only option is to play around Camille. This invade is pretty stupid and very risky. Olaf was on the bottom side at 5:30, so it's likely that he'll be up here now and run me down. I gank top after Jax jumps in on Camille, and we pick up the kill despite some misclicks, and it does take us a while. The problem is, this play is a complete coin flip. Olaf should be up here, in which case they'll win the 2v2 easily, and the game is pretty much over. Basically, my pathing put me into a bad position where I had to play around my weakest lane, and I got really lucky that we didn't instantly lose the game. Transitioning back bot side, another play develops for my bot lane. The wave is pushing in, and Vayne is below half health before the play even starts. We kill Vayne and get Pyke's flash, and I actually should have held Q until it was guaranteed, and we would have killed the Pyke as well. But this is the type of play I should have been making for the past 3 minutes instead of messing around top. Drake is spawning in 50 seconds, so we'd like to get mid prio and then vision control in river. Unfortunately, they group up first and are able to pick off Kiana early on. The enemy team chases my bot lane, so I look for a flank. It's a decent skirmish, and we trade 3 for 1 to start off. But over the extended fight, there are a few mechanical misplays, and LeBlanc and I end up dying in our 2v2 without trading kills. I shielded myself instead of LeBlanc when she was their focus, and then I canceled an auto and never put down a brush to empower my auto attacks. In a fight this close, that really would have made the difference, but Vayne picks up 2 kills, and we took a lot of pressure off her, which we had maintained up to this point. After getting a pretty easy pick on Pyke, we look for an opportunity to push the advantage from here. Vayne survives the dive with 1 HP and both top laners TP in. The fight isn't even close, as the enemy has hit their power spikes now. This wasn't even a good fight for us to take in the first place. LeBlanc was bot lane with no way to join, and even if we killed Vayne, the 4v4 is heavily favored for the enemy team at this point. Against a fed Jax and Vayne, our full melee team has a really difficult time winning these later fights. We had plenty of snowball opportunities from our early advantage, but I didn't play to the win cons well enough. After a Drake, we have a promising fight where we split up the enemy enough to focus down their carries. However, they're too far ahead, and eventually they find the last few picks to close out the game. So now we're in a deep hole at 0-2. From here, I really need to cut down on my mistakes, get a little bit lucky, and run it back for the reverse sweep. Easy, right? I wouldn't show you this level 1 Fiesta if it wasn't important. We go for the invade since we have a pretty solid level 1, but they had the same idea. Our engage is incredibly scuffed, and we fail to lock down any single target. Fortunately, Ahri lives just long enough to not give first blood, but we do trade 2 for 1 in the long run. We really misplayed the level 1 by not focusing any one target, but the enemy gets greedy, and they decide to invade my blue side as well. When they stick around, I smite blue buff to spike level 2, then we grab 2 kills to completely undo any advantage they gained earlier. This was really just us capitalizing on a big misplay from the enemy. We have no idea where Nunu starts here, so we have to be super careful until he does show on the map. Fortunately, Leona roams mid and matches his gank there. I rotate over immediately and we pick up 2 kills. We're 4 minutes into the game and Nunu's only farmed 2 camps. Thanks to this Leona, we turned a really bad start into a small snowball in our favor. As I path top for Scuttle, Volley dies in a close 1v1, but I see that Viego is going to need to crash the wave, and Volley has TP up when he respawns. I use the 6 seconds of downtime to grab Scuttle, then we go pick up a super easy kill in topside. If there are any support players out there watching this, take notes on this Leona's roam timers. After killing Kate bot, she roams over to mid instead of needlessly staying with her ADC. Then when Nunu comes for the gank, we easily collapse and kill him. I use the opportunity to counter jungle Raptors real quick, then we land our CC and kill the Swain one more time when he doesn't respect us. I hover Ahri a little bit afterwards to make sure Nunu can't get a return kill while she crashes the wave, and now he's just incredibly behind. Still hanging around bot river, another opportunity presents itself when Kate gets chunked out with a wave coming towards her. It's an easy dive on the ADC, then Nunu and Sona come to defend the turret as well, and we kill Nunu easily, but then greed a bit for Sona, and we should have dropped the play when we saw Swain was missing from mid. Instead, he cleans up a few kills, and this is kind of a small blunder. Bot is snowballing and mid is safe now that Ahri is level 6, so my pathing takes me up to topside, and I hover volley because it looks like they're trading fairly regularly. But when I see Nunu gank bot side, I immediately start up Rift Herald. My bot lane is strong enough to actually turn the 2v3 and we get the Herald as well. Nunu is experiencing a jungler's worst nightmare, losing both sides of the map at the same time. Coming off a reset, Nunu shows on the top Scuttle Shrine, so we anticipate a gank coming mid lane soon. And even with pretty bad CC layering, we successfully counter the gank, and then I drop the Herald to pick up mid plates and really open up the map from there. All 3 lanes are hard winning at this point, and it's super easy to pick up the Drake. And you know it's bad when the Moonstone Ivern can 1v1 your most fed member. Needless to say, the 15-minute surrender came through shortly after that. So thanks to a level 1 mistake by the enemy, and the best gold support player I've ever seen, we were able to completely keep the Nunu out of the game, and get our first win of the promo series. Seeing Xin and a melee vs melee mid matchup, I pinged out the potential for a level 2 mid gank. Fortunately, Echo pushed for level 2 and then got his E available for when Xin did come. They trade flashes, but this really puts Xin extremely behind, since everyone on the map knows where he is and what he's doing, and he didn't cash in on his early coin flip play. And I said earlier that I knew to reverse sweep this series I would need a little bit of luck, and that's exactly what I got in this game. All 3 of my laners solo kill their opponents in the first 3 minutes, and Xin is held at bay. Xin tries to capitalize on Echo's burnt flash and re-ganks with Yuumi. I immediately rotate over to try and counter it, and I decide to try and set up a 2v2 on the other side of the wall, because I know that Xin can't easily join the fight if I do get over. The play goes really well because the early pressure that my laners had, which enabled the Camille and the Pyke to roam over. Coming out of base, I see the wave slow pushing towards my bot lane, so I path over for a gank, and this one is pretty straightforward, and we continue the snowball bot. There's not much that the Cassio and Yuumi can do if they want to get that wave pushed in. Xin answers this play with a play on topside, so I look to make one more play while he's unable to respond. I want to transition top to pick up my marked camps, so the mid transition gank is pretty natural, and we get an extra kill on the Fizz. With Pyke and Camille roaming, I ping out Xin's red buff as an invade target. I expect him to be pathing there since it just recently spawned, and even before I get there, they kill him pretty easily and we clear out his top side. My teammates are just awesome this game. After taking control of Xin's top side, I look to make another play up here because I know he'll be forced into his bot side. Camille solo kills Teemo and Echo has control of the wave mid, so I decided to just start Rift Herald here to maintain the snowball pressure. My main mistake was that I didn't ping out Xin's whereabouts. I knew he was going to be bot, and then he goes bot and they end up killing Pyke and Jhin bot side. It's kind of a forced dive and Jhin does get a double kill back, but it's still completely avoidable if I pinged it out. As I come back on the map, Drake is available and we want to find some pressure points on the map so we can secure it freely. We get Fizz's flash and then look for a play on the overextended Cassio. It's a bit messy, but we win the fight and drop Herald to finish off the bot turret. After bot turret, I clear my jungle, which was extremely greedy. A fight breaks out and I'm sitting on 1500 gold and a quarter health. Echo buys a lot of time for us to rotate over, and it does end up being a 4 for 2 after Camille flanks and we kite out the Fizz, but if I reset after the bot turret, we might not have lost anybody, and I would have been in a much better position. So it does work out, but I'm clearly still making some poor decisions that I need to clean up. When you're up 28-11, it's somewhat likely that the enemy team will tilt off the face of the planet, which is exactly what happens here. I didn't play perfectly by any means, but this was just a game where I had all winning lanes. It's important to enjoy those when they do happen because they're rare, and it was just fortunate that it happened when I needed it most. This win brings us to match point, 2-2 in our promotional series, with everything on the line. A loss could destroy my mental and stick me in gold for a few more days, or a win could give me the confidence I need to speedrun through Plat. Strap in for Game 5. And if there's anybody who's watched this far, if you aren't subscribed, what are you doing? Let's go. Game 5, nothing more exciting. Go hit the subscribe button. Let's get the hype up for this last game. The early game here is very slow. I'm playing pretty standard since there's a lot riding on this game and I don't want to force anything. Nunu ganks top and mid, and he does get both of their flashes, but there are no kills for the first 5 minutes. Nunu ganks bot off his first reset and picks up a kill on Soraka. There was really no way for me to hover them with the way I was clearing, so instead I went for an invade to at least get something on the other side of the map. I should have anticipated that Nunu would be around Krugs at that time, so failing to communicate that to my bot lane is the primary mistake here. I see Nunu and the enemy bot lane rotate over to Drake, so there's a small window where we could use Mao's ults and make a play on Xerath, but they finished the dragon pretty quickly and came straight over to collapse on us. We're forced to use Mao's R to disengage, which is a huge waste of that cooldown. Nasus also TPs, which is 100% my fault because I am the one who put us in danger. The best play would have been to drop the play as soon as the Drake goes down, and I should have just pathed down to my bot camps and keep those cycling. Instead, I waste a lot of my team's resources on a very low probability play. The enemy bot lane crashes their wave and rotates over to mid. They 4-man Nasus and rotate over to Drake then after, and we try to use our poke to even out the odds, but we get too close to Nunu and Ezreal goes down. Fortunately, we buy enough time for Mouse to move over and to pick up a couple kills. We really should have recognized that the other team was grouping up sooner and pinged Nasus off the play to make sure that he was safe until our bot lane was in a position to rotate. If we had all 5 members up, we probably could have played more offensively rather than just stalling for time. In the end, we secure the Drake and we slow down their Dragon Soul win condition. After more fairly slow-paced laning, we're slowly bleeding out. There aren't any huge team fights, just a few single-person picks, a couple of turrets, and another Drake. We see an opportunity to collapse on Darius top, and so we head up there and Nasus starts the fight a little bit early, while we aren't able to support him yet. So Darius gets full passive stacks, then turns it back on us. I think collapsing on Darius could have worked, but our execution was pretty bad. I could have pinged a little bit better, so Nasus knew to kite up towards me rather than down and away. Also, after the Darius Q, I could have clicked towards Nasus to get at least one more shield on him, so my spacing was bad, and this is a close call, but I think it could have worked out if we played it correctly. Unfortunately, they take Baron off the back of these 2 deaths, and now we have to go into full wave clear mode. I greed for my jungle camps while in wave clear mode, and I disrespect the engage range of Ashe and Nunu. We halfway disengage, but Malzahar is split up and focused down. This is really bad for us, as Malzahar is our only wave clear really. Instead of trying to clear my bot side camps, I should have just respected the pick potential and pinged for my team to just defend the inhibitor turret. We get lucky that the other team ints and just gives us 2 kills back for free during the siege, and if they hadn't done that, the game might have just ended there. Because the siege was slowed down and they didn't break our base on the first try, Ashe and Xerath step back up and they greed for the turret. So I find the window to go in, and we pick up the kill on Xerath as Drake spawns. Ashe is also forced to stay on the map with low mana, and Xerath is still on a death timer for a little bit. With this advantage, we're able to split up the enemy team and trade 4 for 1 while securing the Drake, and this is our first really big team fight win. The previous overstay by Xerath and Ashe is what opened up the opportunity to win the 4v5 and stay in the game. I pick up a stopwatch to get a little bit of outplay potential for the upcoming team fights. We group as 5 with a renewed sense of hope, and we start looking for picks in our jungle. Darius and Nunu are way out of position, and so we start the fight on them. And then I absorb Ashe and Nunu ultimates and buy some time, and Darius is too low throughout this whole fight to do anything. So we start building some momentum and find the way that we want to play our team fights out. We spot Xerath taking a greedy reset here, and we just pull the trigger on a quick kill. Ashe and Nunu are still coming back from base, and it's unlikely anyone will have time to respond since we know that we're not on vision. So we're maintaining pressure and preventing any straight up 5v5s. We have a 4v5 until Xerath is coming out of base, so I feel safe enough to look and counter jungle blue. Then the Ashe arrow tags Ezreal, but a perfectly placed Soraka silence stops any follow-up, and then Malz instantly bursts down Pyke out of stealth. Again, we got a 4v5, but it's too dangerous to start Baron with Xerath and Ashe poke. The entire game is riding on the next play. Tension is at an all-time high, and I know that any single misplay will cost me the entire series. We start up Baron when they show mid, and we burn it down before they can rotate over. We're trapped in the pit, and Nunu gets a really good ult, and I'm just trying to shield whoever's getting targeted. And then I keep kiting it out, dodging everything, and keep the dream alive. While they invest everything on the chase down, Ezreal secures the Drake to put us at soul point. We group up as 4 mid with Baron and look to siege with the Nasus in a side lane, but I position really terribly and almost go down. Fortunately, we have a Soraka to keep me alive through all the Xerath burst, and the rest of the team is too far away to help Nunu on his engage. If you thought I'd learned my lesson, you'd be wrong. I get hooked again by Pyke, but this time it's pretty simple for the rest of his team to finish off the kill. Our siege falls apart because of my death, and I'm lucky it didn't cost me the entire series. After I come out of base, we start looking for picks again in their jungle. Nunu is split up early, and Ezreal and I are left facing the rest of their team face first. I buy time for the rest of the team to get damage down, then we re-establish our setup, get Malzahar flanking with Nasus frontlining for Ezreal. We pick up 4 kills in the end and have enough time to run it down and win the series. Game 5, Silver Scrapes, we made it happen. If you watch this far, you have a special place in my heart. This was an incredible series to play, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. Just like I promised that this would be a crazy series, I promise there's more high-octane gameplay to come in the next few episodes. Thanks for joining me on the road to Masters, and I'll see you next time.